The doorbell rings at 9:30 on a Thursday night, which is strange because nobody visits me unannounced anymore. I've built a life where interruptions are rare, where peace is the default, where I control who enters my space. Through the peephole, I see her, Jessica, my ex-wife, standing on my porch in the cold November rain, mascara running down her face in black streaks, shivering in a coat that probably cost more than my first car. At her feet sits a designer suitcase, Louis Vuitton, if I'm not mistaken, the kind she always wanted but I could never afford back when we were married. For a moment, I consider not opening the door, consider pretending I'm not home, letting her stand there in the rain until she gives up and leaves. But curiosity wins. After 3 years of silence, after the way things ended, what could possibly bring her to my door? I open it slowly, keeping the screen door latched between us. Hello, Jessica. Her eyes meet mine, and I see something I never saw during our marriage. Desperation. Michael. Her voice cracks. Please, I have nowhere else to go. I don't respond immediately. Just look at her. Really look at her. She's thinner than I remember. Her hair, always perfectly styled during our marriage, hangs limp and wet. The designer clothes can't hide the exhaustion in her face, the defeat in her posture. What happened to Richard? I ask, keeping my tone neutral. Richard fucking Sterling, the man she left me for. The man with the penthouse and the sports car and the 6-figure salary that made my modest income look like pocket change. Before we get into it, don't forget to like and subscribe, and hit hype to boost this episode. Drop a comment below with your city or country. I'm always curious where viewers are joining from. She stops, swallows hard. He kicked me out. Today. Just told me to pack my things and get out. I don't have anywhere to go, Michael. My parents won't talk to me. My friends, they were all his friends. Please, just for tonight. I'll figure something out tomorrow. The rain is soaking through her expensive coat. She's shaking, whether from cold or emotion I can't tell. Part of me, a small, distant part, feels something that might be pity. But then I remember. I remember every insult, every comparison, every time she made me feel like I was less than nothing, every public humiliation. Every night I lay awake wondering why I wasn't good enough, why I couldn't give her the life she deserved. I look past her at the driveway, at the home I bought with my own money, earned through years of grinding after she left, at the life I built from the ashes of our marriage. My eyes drift to the garage. You can stay, I say finally. Relief floods her face. Thank you, Michael. Thank you so much. I knew you'd... In the garage, I continue, my voice even and calm. Next to the trash bins. That's where you said I belonged, isn't it? Seems fitting. The relief vanishes, replaced by shock. Her mouth opens, closes, opens again. You can't be serious. I look at her directly. I'm completely serious. Take it or leave it. Michael, it's freezing out here. I can't sleep in a garage. Then don't. There's probably a motel a few miles down the road. I'm sure your designer suitcase will fit in an Uber. I don't have money for a motel. Richard froze my cards. I have nothing. Not my problem. She stares at me like she's seeing a stranger. Maybe she is. The Michael she knew, the one who took her abuse and begged for her approval, he doesn't exist anymore. Please, she whispers. Don't do this. I'm sorry for everything. I made a mistake. You were always the good one, the stable one. I was stupid to leave. Just let me inside. Just for one night. She reaches for the screen door handle. I place my hand against it, keeping it closed. Garage or nothing, Jessica. Choose. For a long moment, we stand there. Her mascara-stained face, my calm expression, the rain falling between us. Finally, she grabs her suitcase and walks toward the garage, her heels clicking on the wet concrete. I watch her struggle with the side door, watch her disappear into the darkness. Then I close my front door, lock it, and return to my warm living room where my dog Max is waiting on the couch. Good boy, I say, scratching behind his ears. Outside, I hear the garage door creak shut. I pick up my book and continue reading where I left off. Let me tell you how we got here. Let me tell you about the marriage that broke me and the divorce that made me. I met Jessica 7 years ago at a friend's birthday party. She was 24, beautiful in that effortless way some women are, with long dark hair and a smile that made you feel like you were the only person in the room. I was 26, working as an assistant manager at a logistics company, making $42,000 a year and thinking I was doing pretty well for myself. We clicked immediately, talked for hours, exchanged numbers, started dating within a week. For the first few months, everything was perfect. She seemed impressed by my work ethic, charmed by my ambition to move up in the company. When I told her I was taking online business courses to get certified in supply chain management, she called it sexy. I love a man who's focused on self-improvement, she said, kissing me. I fell hard and fast. Proposed after 8 months. She said yes without hesitation, and we married 3 months later in a small ceremony that I paid for entirely with money I'd saved over 2 years. The problem started almost immediately after the wedding. This apartment is so small, Jessica said one evening, looking around our one-bedroom place with barely concealed disdain. When are we moving somewhere better? When I get the promotion I've been working toward. Should be another year or so. A year? She laughed, but there was an edge to it. Michael, we can't live like college students forever. We're married adults. We need a real place. This is a real place. It's clean, safe, affordable. Affordable, she repeated, making the word sound dirty. That's your problem. You think too small. You're so focused on affordable that you can't see bigger possibilities. Bigger possibilities require bigger income. I'm working on it. Are you? Because from where I'm sitting, you're just stagnant. You go to work, come home, take your little online classes, but where's the ambition? Where's the drive to actually succeed? I tried to explain that success takes time, that I was building a foundation, that moving up in a company required patience and strategic planning. But Jessica didn't want to hear about foundations or strategy. She wanted immediate results. The first major fight came about 3 months into the marriage. We were supposed to go to dinner with her college friends, women who'd all married well, as Jessica liked to point out. Can you please wear something nice? She asked as I was getting ready. Not that shirt, it's old. It's fine, it's clean. It's from Target, Michael. We're going to a nice restaurant. Can you at least try to look like you belong there? What's wrong with Target? Nothing, if you're a college student, but we're adults now, married adults. You need to upgrade your wardrobe. With what money? We're saving for a house. Exactly. We're saving every penny because you insist on putting everything towards some future that never comes. Meanwhile, we're living like we're broke. We're not broke. We're responsible. We're cheap. There's a difference. My friends' husbands buy them nice things, take them nice places, and I'm here with... She gestured at me. This. I'm your husband, Jessica, not a fucking accessory. Then stop acting like one. Start acting like a man who wants more for his wife than Target clothes and IKEA furniture. We went to dinner, but the night was ruined. I sat there in my Target shirt while her friends talked about their recent vacations to Europe, their new cars, their husband's latest promotions, and Jessica laughed along, pretending to be part of their world while barely acknowledging my existence. On the drive home, she was silent. Angry silent, not peaceful silent. Are you going to tell me what I did wrong now? I finally asked. You don't do anything wrong, Michael. That's the problem. You're perfectly content being mediocre. You don't want more. Don't strive for more. You're just there, taking up space. I'm sorry I'm not a CEO or a lawyer or whatever it is you wish I was. I'm not asking you to be a CEO. I'm asking you to try, to want something beyond your tiny, comfortable existence. I do want things. I want us to have a stable future, a house, maybe kids someday. But that takes planning, Jessica. Takes saving and working toward goals. Your goals are too small. That's what you don't understand. You're aiming for some middle-class suburban life when you could be aiming for so much more. And how do I aim for more? Work myself to death? Take risks we can't afford? Go into debt to look successful? Yes, sometimes you have to spend money to make money. Sometimes you have to take risks, but you're too scared to do anything that isn't completely safe and predictable. I'm not scared. I'm realistic. You're boring. The word hung in the air between us. Boring. Not unsuccessful, not unambitious. Boring. We drove the rest of the way in silence. The comparison started around month 6 of our marriage, but they got worse as time went on. We were at dinner with her friend Monica and Monica's boyfriend, a finance guy named Brett, who drove a BMW and wore suits that probably cost more than my monthly salary. Brett just got promoted to senior analyst, Monica announced proudly. They're giving him a corner office and a significant raise. That's great, I said genuinely. Congratulations, man. Thanks, it's been a grind, but worth it. See? Jessica said, turning to me. That's what ambition looks like. Brett's only 28 and he's already senior analyst. What are you again? Assistant manager? Her tone made my title sound like an insult. I'm assistant regional manager now, actually. Got promoted last month. Assistant regional manager. She said it slowly, like she was tasting each word and finding them lacking. Brett, what's that equivalent to in finance? Brett looked uncomfortable. Different industries have different structures. I'm sure Michael's doing well in his field. His field pays $45,000 a year, Jessica said, not bothering to lower her voice. How much do you make? Jessica, I said quietly, feeling my face flush. That's not appropriate. It's fine, Brett said, clearly wanting to move past the awkwardness. Every career path is different. But the damage was done. The rest of dinner was torture, with Jessica making pointed comments about people who are satisfied with mediocrity and men who lack ambition. In the car afterward, I tried to address it. What you did tonight was humiliating. What I did? Michael, I was trying to motivate you. You're so complacent. You act like $45,000 a year is some kind of achievement. It's more than a lot of people make. It's not enough for the life I want, the life you promised me. I never promised you anything specific. I promised to work hard and build a future with you. Work hard? She laughed bitterly. You work hard at staying average. That's different from working hard at succeeding. These conversations became our new normal. Every dinner party, every social gathering, every time we were around successful people, Jessica would find ways to highlight my inadequacies. But the worst moments were the private ones. The quiet evenings at home when she'd scroll through social media, looking at her friends' lives, sighing dramatically. Melissa just posted photos from Paris. They went for their anniversary. Her husband surprised her with the trip. That's nice for them. We're never going to Paris, are we? Maybe someday, when we've saved enough. Someday, your favorite word. Someday we'll have a nice house. Someday we'll take vacations. Someday you'll be successful. But someday never actually comes, does it? It takes time to build wealth, Jessica. Or it takes marrying someone who already has it. The comment landed like a slap. What's that supposed to mean? Nothing. Forget it. But I couldn't forget it. The seed was planted. The idea that she could have, should have, married someone else. Someone better. Someone who wasn't me. A few months later, I came home from work excited. I'd been selected for a management training program that could fast-track my career advancement. It meant extra hours and weekend classes, but it would position me for senior roles within 2 years. That's great, Jessica said flatly, not looking up from her phone. You don't sound excited. I'm excited that you're finally showing some ambition, but 2 years? Michael, I'll be 28 in 2 years. My biological clock is ticking. I can't wait forever for you to maybe possibly get a better job. It's not maybe. This program has a 90% success rate. Almost everyone who completes it moves into senior management. So in 2 years, you'll make what? 70,000? 80? Probably around that, yeah. Brett makes that now, and he's younger than you. There it was again. Brett, the standard I'd never meet. I'm not Brett. I'm in a different industry with different progression rates. Excuses. That's all I ever hear from you. Excuses for why you can't do more, be more, earn more. I'm tired of excuses, Michael. I'm tired of being married to potential that never actualizes. What do you want from me? I'm working as hard as I can. I want you to want more, to be hungry for success instead of satisfied with adequacy. But you're not built that way, are you? You're perfectly happy being a big fish in a small pond. There's nothing wrong with that. There is when you promised me an ocean. I never promised you an ocean. I promised you honesty and effort and loyalty, and I've given you all of that. Honesty and effort don't pay for the life I want to live. We stared at each other across the kitchen table, the distance between us suddenly feeling vast. Then maybe you married the wrong person, I said quietly. She didn't disagree. Year 2 of marriage was worse. Jessica started making new friends, wealthy friends, women married to men with impressive careers and bigger bank accounts. She'd come home from lunches with them and spend hours telling me everything I wasn't. Melissa's husband just bought her a new car, just because. Not for her birthday or anything, just because he wanted to make her happy. That's nice for Melissa. When's the last time you bought me something just because? I bought you flowers last week. Flowers from the grocery store, Michael. I'm talking about real gifts, meaningful gifts. Like a car. Like anything that shows you actually value me, that you're willing to invest in making me happy. I invested everything I had in our wedding. I'm investing in our future by working toward better positions. Future, future, future. I'm tired of hearing about the future. What about now? What about today? I'm 26 years old. I should be living my best life, not pinching pennies because my husband refuses to step up. The phrase step up became her weapon of choice. Everything I did, or didn't do, was evidence that I hadn't stepped up. Couldn't afford a vacation, hadn't stepped up. Drove an old car, hadn't stepped up. Worked overtime to boost our savings. Still hadn't stepped up because apparently the right kind of success didn't require overtime. I tried changing, worked harder, longer hours, took on additional projects at work, completed the management training program 6 months early, got promoted to regional manager with that $70,000 salary Jessica had scoffed at. "That's great," she said when I told her, but her eyes were already distant, already calculating whether it was enough. It wasn't. Nothing was ever enough. Michael's still at the same company he started at 5 years ago. We can't afford that vacation. Michael's salary doesn't stretch that far. Some men are providers, others are just there. I tried to tune it out. Focused on my work, my certifications, my steady climb up the company ladder. Got another promotion to regional manager. Salary increased to $55,000. Started working on an advanced logistics certification that would potentially open doors to better paying positions. But nothing was ever enough. $55,000, Jessica said when I told her about the raise. That's still basically poverty level for a married couple. It's well above the median income for our area. Well, maybe we're in the wrong area. Maybe you're in the wrong career. Have you thought about that? I'm good at what I do. I'm making progress. Progress toward what? 60,000 by the time you're 40, 70,000 by 50. Michael, we're wasting our prime years being broke. We're not broke. We have savings. We pay our bills. We're comfortable. Comfortable, she spat. That word again. You know what comfortable is? It's another word for settling, and I didn't get married to settle. Year 2 of marriage was worse. Jessica started making new friends. Wealthy friends, women married to men with impressive careers and bigger bank accounts. She'd come home from lunches with them and spend hours telling me everything I wasn't. Melissa's husband just bought her a new car, just because. Not for her birthday or anything, just because he wanted to make her happy. That's nice for Melissa. When's the last time you bought me something just because? I bought you flowers last week. Flowers from the grocery store, Michael. I'm talking about real gifts, meaningful gifts. Like a car. Like anything that shows you actually value me, that you're willing to invest in making me happy. I invested everything I had in our wedding. I'm investing in our future by working toward better positions. Future, future, future. I'm tired of hearing about the future. What about now? What about today? I'm 26 years old. I should be living my best life, not pinching pennies because my husband refuses to step up. The breaking point came on a Saturday afternoon in the 3rd year of our marriage. I'd just gotten home from a morning shift. I'd been taking weekend overtime to boost our savings. Jessica was on the couch, scrolling through her phone, looking at pictures of her friends' lives. I can't do this anymore, she said without looking up. Do what? This. Us. This mediocre existence. I've tried, Michael. I've really tried to be patient, to be supportive. But you're never going to be successful. You're never going to give me the life I deserve. Something in her tone made my blood run cold. What are you saying? She finally looked at me. I'm saying I want a divorce. I've met someone else. Someone who actually has ambition. Someone who can provide the life I should have had all along. The room tilted. You're having an affair? I wouldn't call it an affair. We're just talking. But Richard, he's a partner at a financial firm. He makes real money. And he wants to be with me. Richard Sterling? I'd met him once at a work function Jessica had insisted on attending with me. He was 15 years older, divorced, driving a Porsche. Yes, and before you get all judgmental, this is your fault. If you'd actually been a man, if you'd actually provided, I wouldn't have needed to look elsewhere. Needed to look elsewhere? I repeated, too stunned to process. I'm 29 years old, Michael. My biological clock is ticking. I can't afford to waste more years waiting for you to magically become successful. Richard can give me the life I want, the home I want, the future I want. And love? What about love? She actually rolled her eyes. Love doesn't pay bills. Love doesn't buy houses in nice neighborhoods. Love doesn't ensure your children go to good schools. I need security, Michael, and you can't provide that. We have security. We have nothing. She stood up, her voice rising. We have this tiny apartment with furniture from IKEA and a car that's 8 years old and a savings account that wouldn't cover a real emergency. That's not security. That's barely surviving. That's not true. You're building nothing. You're treading water and calling it progress. Well, I'm done treading water. I'm done pretending that your steady job and your comfortable life are enough. They're not. You're not. The words hit like physical blows. So that's it? 3 years of marriage and you're just leaving? I've been checked out for a year. This isn't sudden, Michael. I've just been waiting for a better option to present itself, and now it has. A better option. That's what I am to you? An option? You were the safe choice, the nice guy who'd treat me well while I figured out what I really wanted, and now I know what I really want, and it's not this. She gestured vaguely around the apartment, but I knew she meant more than just the space. She meant me, my career, my life, everything I was. When are you leaving? Richard's sending movers next week. I'll be out by Friday. That fast? Why wait? There's nothing here worth staying for. She walked past me to the bedroom. I stood in the living room, trying to process what had just happened. 3 years of marriage ended in a 10-minute conversation where my wife told me I wasn't good enough to keep. The following week was a blur of lawyers and paperwork, and Jessica packing her things with an efficiency that suggested she'd been planning this for a while. We barely spoke. When we did, it was logistical. Who gets what, how to split the meager savings, what to do about the lease. The day she left, she walked through the apartment one final time while the movers carried boxes to a truck that probably cost more than I'd make in 6 months. You know what your problem is, Michael? She said at the door. You think being a good person is enough, but it's not. The world rewards ambition, not goodness. Richard understands that. He's ruthless when he needs to be. He takes what he wants. That's why he's successful and you're not. And that's what you want? Ruthlessness? I want someone who makes things happen. You let things happen to you. There's a difference. She picked up her last bag, a designer purse I'd never seen before, probably a gift from Richard. Good luck, Michael. I genuinely hope you figure out how to be more than you are. You're not a bad person, just a disappointing one. Then she left, closing the door behind her, taking the last 3 years of my life with her. I stood in the empty apartment, emptier now with half the furniture gone, and felt something crack inside me. For 3 days, I barely functioned, called in sick to work, sat on the couch she didn't want because it was too cheap, and stared at nothing. My friend Derek came over on day 4, took one look at me and said, All right, enough. Get up. I'm fine. You're not fine. You look like hell. When's the last time you ate? I don't know. Yesterday? It's 3 p.m. Come on, shower. We're getting food. Derek was my oldest friend, had been skeptical of Jessica from the start. Never said, I told you so, which I appreciated. Just got me moving again. Over burgers at a diner, he asked, So what now? I don't know. Keep working, keep existing, figure out how to pay full rent on a place I can barely afford with her half of income. Fuck that place. Move somewhere cheaper. Hell, my building has a studio opening next month. Half what you're paying now. Maybe. Not maybe. Definitely. Michael, listen to me. What Jessica did was cruel, but she also did you a favor. Doesn't feel like a favor. Because you're in the middle of it. But think about it. You just got freed from someone who was never going to be satisfied. Someone who saw you as a disappointment. Now you can focus on yourself without someone constantly telling you you're not enough. What if she was right? What if I am settling? There's a difference between settling and being strategic. You're building a career methodically. That's smart, not settling. Jessica wanted instant gratification. She wanted the finish line without running the race. She found someone who's already at the finish line. She found someone who's already been divorced once and is probably a nightmare to live with. But that's her problem now. Your problem is figuring out what you want. I want to not feel like a failure. Then don't. Turn this into fuel. Jessica said you lack ambition? Prove her wrong. Not for her? Fuck her. For you. Show yourself what you're capable of when you're not spending all your energy trying to meet someone else's impossible standards. Derek's words stuck with me. For the first time in 3 years, I didn't have someone undermining every decision I made. Didn't have someone making me feel small for trying. So I stopped trying to be what Jessica wanted and started building what I wanted. I moved into the studio Derek recommended. Cheap, small, but mine. Every decision was mine. Every dollar I earned was mine. The freedom was intoxicating. I threw myself into work with a focus I'd never had when I was married. No more leaving early because Jessica wanted to have dinner with her friends. No more turning down overtime because she complained I worked too much. No more feeling guilty for prioritizing my career. Within 6 months, I completed my advanced logistics certification. My boss noticed the renewed dedication and started giving me more responsibility. Within a year, I was promoted to senior regional manager with a significant salary bump, $72,000 a year. I started a side consulting business helping smaller companies optimize their supply chains. Worked nights and weekends, but I didn't mind. The work was engaging, and the extra income stacked up fast. 18 months after the divorce was finalized, I'd saved enough for a down payment on a small house. Nothing fancy, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, detached garage, in a decent neighborhood 30 minutes from work. But it was mine. Fully mine. I adopted Max, a rescue dog who'd been abandoned by his previous owners. We understood each other. My consulting business grew, started hiring contractors to handle overflow, built a reputation for being reliable and innovative. Companies I'd never dreamed of working with started reaching out. By year 3 post-divorce, I was making over $120,000 annually between my day job and consulting. Had expanded the house, finished the basement, renovated the kitchen, added a deck. The mortgage was manageable, savings were healthy, life was good. And through all of it, I heard nothing from Jessica. No mutual friends reported on her life with Richard. No social media updates. She'd blocked me immediately after leaving. It was like she'd simply ceased to exist. Until tonight. Until she showed up at my door with that designer suitcase and desperation in her eyes. I don't sleep well. Keep listening for sounds from the garage, though I'm not sure what I expect to hear. Crying, anger, the sound of her leaving. At midnight, I give up on sleep and go to the kitchen for water. Max follows, his nails clicking on the hardwood floors I'd installed myself last summer. Through the kitchen window, I can see the garage. There's a faint light visible through the small window, probably from her phone. Part of me wonders if I'm being cruel, if letting my ex-wife sleep in a cold garage next to trash bins is taking revenge too far. But then I remember her voice. You're not a bad person, just a disappointing one. I remember sitting in that empty apartment after she left, feeling like I'd failed at the most basic level of being a man. I remember working through the pain, the humiliation, the crushing self-doubt she'd left in her wake. And I think she made her choices. Now she gets to live with the consequences. I go back to bed. Max curls up at my feet. I fall asleep around 2 a.m. Morning comes with weak sunlight through the bedroom windows. Friday. I have the day off. Had planned to work on the deck, maybe take Max to the park. Those plans feel complicated now. I make coffee, feed Max, take a shower. Through it all, I'm hyper-aware of the garage. Is she still there? Did she leave during the night? At 8:30, curiosity wins. I walk outside, cross the driveway, and open the garage side door. Jessica is awake, sitting on an old lawn chair I'd forgotten was in there, wrapped in a tarp she'd found somewhere. Her designer suitcase sits unopened beside her. She looks up when I enter, her face pale and exhausted. Morning, I say neutrally. Morning. Her voice is hoarse. Sleep well? She laughs bitterly. What do you think? I think you're still here, so it must not have been completely unbearable. Michael, please, can we talk? Somewhere warm? I lean against the door frame. We can talk right here. She pulls the tarp tighter around her shoulders. Fine. I know you're angry. I know I hurt you. I was wrong about everything, and I'm sorry. Really, truly sorry. Sorry for leaving, or sorry that it didn't work out with Richard? Both, all of it. I was stupid and shallow and cruel. You were a good husband, and I took that for granted. I see that now. What happened with Richard? She looks down at her hands. He was never what I thought he was. The money, the lifestyle, it all came with strings. He wanted a trophy wife who looked good at his business dinners and didn't have opinions. I thought I could handle that, thought the lifestyle was worth it. But it wasn't. He was controlling, emotionally abusive, criticized everything, my appearance, my clothes, how I talked to his colleagues, made me feel like I was never good enough, like I was lucky he even bothered with me. The irony isn't lost on me. Sounds familiar. She flinches. I know. Karma, right? I spent 3 years making you feel inadequate, and then I got to experience what that feels like from the other side. And now he kicked you out? We had a fight last week. I told him I was tired of being treated like an accessory. He said I was being ungrateful, that I should remember where he found me. Married to someone making $50,000 a year. Said I had no right to complain when he'd given me everything I wanted. And what did you say? I said that things aren't everything. That I'd rather be with someone who respected me than someone who just bought me things. So he kicked you out? He said if I was so unhappy I could leave. I called his bluff. Said fine, I'd go. He said good, pack your shit, and froze all my cards. By the time I realized he was serious, His security people were escorting me out of the building with one suitcase and whatever I could fit in it. She wipes her eyes with the back of her hand, smearing yesterday's mascara further. I'm sorry that happened to you, I say, and I mean it. That sounds legitimately awful. Thank you. But it doesn't change anything between us. Her face falls. Michael, you left me because you thought I wasn't good enough, wasn't ambitious enough, wasn't successful enough. You made me feel like trash for 3 years, and now that your backup plan fell through, you came back expecting me to what? Take you in? Welcome you home? Pretend nothing happened? I'm not expecting anything. I'm just asking for help. Temporarily, until I get on my feet. And where were you when I needed help? When I was working overtime to save for our future and you were complaining that I worked too much? When I was taking classes to advance my career and you were mocking me for trying? You weren't just not helpful, Jessica. You were actively harmful. I know I was terrible. But people change. I've changed. I've learned. You've learned that rich men can be assholes? That money doesn't buy happiness? Congratulations. Most people figure that out without destroying their marriages first. She stands up, letting the tarp fall. So what? You're just going to let me freeze in your garage forever? That's your grand revenge? My grand revenge is having a life where you're not a factor, where I don't think about you, don't care about you, don't define my success or failure by your standards. Then why let me stay at all? Why not just turn me away completely? Good question. One I've been asking myself since last night. Because despite everything, I'm not cruel. You can stay in the garage for 3 days. That gives you time to figure something out. Call your parents, reach out to friends, find a shelter, get a job. I don't care. But after 3 days, you leave. 3 days? Michael, that's not enough time to... It's more than you deserve. Take it or leave it. She slumps back into the chair, defeated. Fine. 3 days. I turn to leave, then pause. There's a bathroom through that door. You can use it, but you don't come in the house. You stay in the garage. Understand? Why do you hate me so much? I consider the question. I don't hate you, Jessica. I just don't care about you anymore. And that's worse, isn't it? Hate means you still matter. Indifference means you don't. I leave her sitting there and go back inside. Max is waiting by the door, tail wagging. I ruffle his fur and head to the kitchen to make breakfast. Through the window, I can see the garage. Can imagine Jessica inside, cold and uncomfortable and probably feeling sorry for herself. Part of me, a very small part, feels guilty. But the larger part remembers every insult, every comparison, every time she made me feel like I was less than. And that part feels absolutely nothing. Day 2 begins with rain. Cold, persistent November rain that turns the world gray and miserable. I work in my home office most of the morning, catching up on consulting projects. A major retail client needs a complete supply chain audit, the kind of work that's mentally demanding but lucrative. I lose myself in spreadsheets and logistics maps, grateful for the distraction, but I can't completely ignore the garage. Can't stop wondering what Jessica's doing out there. Is she cold? Uncomfortable? Regretting her decision to stay? Good, a voice in my head says. Let her be uncomfortable. Let her feel what it's like to be treated as less than. But another voice, quieter but persistent, asks, is this who you want to be? Someone who takes pleasure in another person's suffering? I don't have an answer. Around noon, there's a knock at the kitchen door, the one that leads to the garage. I open it. Jessica stands there, still wearing yesterday's clothes, looking even more haggard. Her hair is tangled, her makeup from 2 days ago smudged and faded, her expensive coat wrinkled. I'm hungry, she says simply. No preamble, no apology. Just a statement of fact. There's a convenience store about a mile down the road. I don't have money. I told you, Richard froze everything. Not my problem. Michael, please. I haven't eaten since yesterday morning. Just some bread. Anything. I study her face, looking for manipulation, for the games she used to play. But all I see is genuine hunger, the kind that makes your stomach hurt and your head light. Part of me wants to refuse, wants to close the door and let her figure it out herself. But I'm not that person, never have been, despite my best efforts. Wait here. I make a sandwich, turkey and cheese on wheat bread, nothing fancy. Add some baby carrots and an apple because old habits die hard. Pour a glass of water, bring them to the door on a paper plate. She takes them like they're a 5-star meal, her hands trembling slightly. Thank you, she whispers. Don't thank me. You have 2 more days. I close the door before she can respond. Watch through the window as she carries the food back to the garage, hunched against the rain. Max comes up beside me, nuzzles my hand with his nose. He can sense my conflicted feelings, the way dogs do. I'm not being cruel, I tell him. I'm setting boundaries. He doesn't look convinced. The afternoon passes slowly. I try to focus on work, but find myself distracted, thinking about Jessica in the garage, thinking about our marriage, thinking about the woman I fell in love with versus the woman she became. Were there good times? Yes. In the beginning, before the comparisons and the constant disappointment. There were mornings when we'd sleep late and make pancakes, evenings when we'd walk through the park and talk about everything and nothing, moments when I'd catch her looking at me with something that might have been love. But those moments got rarer as the marriage went on, got buried under her dissatisfaction and my inadequacy, until there was nothing left but resentment and obligation. My phone rings. Derek. How's the garage situation? He asks without preamble. Day 2. She's still here. You feed her? Made her a sandwich. So you're not completely heartless. Jury's still out on that. He laughs. For what it's worth, I think you're handling this better than most people would. You're not being a doormat, but you're not being unnecessarily cruel either. Tell that to the voice in my head that says I'm a terrible person. That voice is wrong. You're giving her exactly what she needs. A reality check. Sometimes people need to sit with their consequences to actually learn from them. You sound like my therapist. You have a therapist? Started seeing one about 6 months after the divorce. Best decision I ever made. Good for you, man. Seriously. After we hang up, I think about my therapist, Dr. Sarah Chen, about the work we'd done processing the marriage, the divorce, the rebuilding, about learning that closure doesn't come from other people. It comes from within. You don't need Jessica to apologize, Dr. Chen had said during one session. You don't need her to understand what she did wrong. You just need to understand that you deserve better, that you always deserved better. But what if I didn't? What if she was right about me? Was she? Look at what you've built since she left. The career success, the consulting business, the house. Did you do that to prove her wrong? At first, maybe, but then it became about proving myself right, about showing myself what I was capable of. Exactly, that's growth. That's moving past needing her validation. Sitting in my office now, watching the rain, I realize I haven't thought about needing Jessica's validation in over a year. Haven't wondered what she'd think of my success or whether she regretted leaving until she showed up at my door and dragged all those feelings back to the surface. Evening comes. I make dinner for myself and Max. Chicken and vegetables for me, dog food and some chicken scraps for him. We eat together in the living room, watching a documentary about mountain climbing. Through the window, I can see a faint light in the garage. Jessica's phone, probably. I wonder what she's doing. Looking at old photos, texting friends who won't help her, doom scrolling through social media and seeing everyone else's seemingly perfect lives. Or maybe she's just sitting there in the dark, cold and uncomfortable, finally understanding what it feels like to have nowhere to go and no one to turn to. The next morning, day 3, I wake up early and take Max for a longer walk than usual. The rain has stopped, replaced by weak morning sunshine that doesn't quite warm the air. We walk through the neighborhood I'd chosen so carefully 3 years ago, past the park where I'd taught Max to fetch, past the coffee shop where I'd sometimes work on weekends, past the houses of neighbors I'd gotten to know, the retired couple who always commented on how well-behaved Max was, the young family with 3 kids who Max loved to visit. This was my community, my life, built from scratch, one deliberate choice at a time. When we get home, I notice the garage door is slightly ajar. I approach cautiously, push it open wider. Jessica is awake, sitting in the same lawn chair, wrapped in the tarp. But she looks different this morning. Not better, exactly, just quieter, more resigned. Morning, I say. She looks up. Morning. Sleep any better? Not really, but I'm getting used to it. Don't get too used to it. One more day, she nods. I know. We stand in awkward silence. Can I ask you something? She finally says. What? Why did you really let me stay? Even in the garage. You could have just told me to leave. Could have called the cops if I wouldn't go. Why give me the 3 days? I think about it. Really think about it. Because despite everything, I'm not cruel, I say finally. You hurt me. Badly. For years. But that doesn't mean I want to see you homeless or desperate. The garage was a compromise. Harsh enough to make a point, but not so harsh that I couldn't live with myself. The point being that I'm not the same person you left. That I won't just roll over and accommodate you because you need something. that you lost the right to expect kindness from me when you walked out that door 3 years ago. She absorbs this. I understand. Do you? Because 3 days ago you showed up here expecting me to welcome you back, to give you a warm bed and forgiveness and a fresh start, like nothing happened. I wasn't expecting that. I was hoping for it. There's a difference. Not much of one. She pulls the tarp tighter around her shoulders. You've changed, not just the house and the success. You're harder now. Not harder, just clearer about my boundaries. Is that what your therapist taught you? I'm surprised she guesses that. Among other things, I should probably get a therapist. Probably. More silence. Then she says, I called my parents yesterday. From the bathroom. They're willing to let me stay with them. In Ohio. My dad is driving down tomorrow to pick me up. That's good. Is it? Going back to my childhood home at 29 with nothing to show for the last 5 years of my life? It's better than a garage. She almost smiles. Almost. Fair point. I turn to leave, then pause. For what it's worth, Jessica, I hope you figure things out. I really do. But I can't be part of that process. We're done. We've been done. And we need to stay done. I know. She wipes her eyes. Thank you for the 3 days. And the sandwiches. And not being as cruel as I probably deserved. I nod once and leave her there. Back inside, Max is waiting by the door. I scratch behind his ears, grateful for his simple, uncomplicated presence in my life. One more day. Then she'll be gone. And I can close this chapter for good. Hey man, want to grab dinner tonight? New Thai place opened up near... Can't. I have a situation. What kind of situation? I hesitate, then tell him everything. The doorbell last night. Jessica's return. The garage arrangement. Derek is quiet for a long moment. Holy shit. Yeah. You actually made her sleep in the garage? I gave her the option. She chose to stay. Michael, that's cold. I mean, she deserves it, but damn, that's cold. Is it? Or is it boundaries? Can it be both? Maybe. So what's your endgame here? 3 days in the garage, and then what? She just disappears? That's the plan. And you're okay with that? Just letting her go? No safety net, nothing? She didn't worry about my safety net when she left. Didn't care if I could afford rent alone or if I'd be okay. She just went with someone richer and never looked back. True, but you're not her. You're better than that. Am I? Because right now I'm not feeling particularly generous. I'm not saying be generous. I'm saying, look, do what you need to do. Just make sure you're doing it for the right reasons. Revenge feels good in the moment, but it tends to leave a bitter aftertaste. After we hang up, I think about his words. Am I doing this for revenge? Or is it genuinely about boundaries? Maybe it's both. Maybe that's okay. Day 3 arrives with sun breaking through the clouds. Warmer than yesterday, almost pleasant. I haven't seen Jessica since I gave her the sandwich 2 days ago. I assume she's been using the bathroom when I'm not looking, maybe sleeping more now that she's adapted to the space. Part of me wants to check on her, make sure she's okay, but I resist the urge. Around 10 a.m., there's another knock at the kitchen door. Jessica stands there, but she looks different. Hair pulled back, face washed, wearing different clothes from her suitcase. Can we talk? She asks. Really talk? Against my better judgment, I step outside, pulling the door closed behind me. We stand in the driveway, morning sun warming the concrete. I've been thinking, she says, about everything, about who I was and who I want to be, and I realized something. What's that? You were never the problem. I was. I wanted a fantasy life without putting in the work. Wanted success without the struggle. Wanted the destination without the journey. That's very philosophical for someone who's been sleeping in a garage. I'm serious. When I left you, I thought I'd found a shortcut. Someone who'd already made it, who could give me everything instantly. But Richard didn't give me anything real. Just expensive wrapping paper around an empty box. And you think I'm different? I know you are, because you built something real. This house, your career, your life, it's all real. It's earned. That has value that Richard's money never did. I didn't build it for you. I built it despite you. I know, and that makes it even more impressive. We stand in silence for a moment. Why did you really come here, Jessica? Of all the places you could have gone, why my door? She looks down at her feet. Because I knew you'd help. Even after everything, I knew you were fundamentally decent, that you wouldn't just leave me on the street. But I did leave you in a garage, which I deserved. I get that now. You gave me exactly what I gave you. A taste of being treated like you're worthless, like trash. And now? Now I'm asking if there's any possibility of, not reconciliation. I know that's not on the table, but maybe forgiveness? Maybe a chance to start over, not as lovers, but as humans who once meant something to each other? I think about it, really think about it. I don't hate you, I say finally. I told you that already. But I also can't forget what you did, can't forget how you made me feel. That doesn't just go away because you've had a moment of clarity. I understand. Your 3 days are up tomorrow. Do you have somewhere to go? I called my parents yesterday, from the bathroom. They're willing to let me stay with them. In Ohio. My dad is driving down tomorrow to pick me up. That's good. Is it? Going back to my childhood home at 29 with nothing to show for the last 5 years of my life? It's better than a garage. She almost smiles. Fair point. Jessica, I hope you figure things out. I genuinely do. But I can't be part of that process. We're done. We've been done. And we need to stay done. I know. She wipes her eyes. For what it's worth, I'm proud of you, of what you've built. You were right and I was wrong about pretty much everything. I wasn't right. I was just patient. There's a difference. Maybe. Either way, you succeeded. You became the person I said you'd never be. That takes strength I didn't have. I don't respond to that. Don't know how to. Can I ask you something? She says. What? Did you ever love me? Really? I consider lying. Consider saying no, that I never really loved her, that it was all a mistake from the start. But that's not true. I did, I admit. For a long time, maybe too long. But yes, I loved you. Past tense? Very past tense, she nods, accepting this. Thank you for the 3 days, and the sandwich, and the bathroom, and for not calling the cops when I showed up unannounced. You're welcome. She extends her hand. After a moment, I shake it. Her hand is cold. Goodbye, Michael. Goodbye, Jessica. She goes back to the garage. I go back inside. The next morning, I watch from my office window as an older man pulls up in a Buick. Jessica's father. He helps her load the designer suitcase, now looking worse for wear, into his trunk. They talk for a few minutes. He looks angry, disappointed. She looks small, diminished. Then they get in the car and drive away. Just like that, she's gone. I expect to feel something. Relief, satisfaction, closure. But mostly I just feel tired. Max nudges my hand with his nose. Time for his walk. We head to the park, where the autumn leaves are falling and the air is crisp and clean. Max runs ahead, chasing squirrels he'll never catch, living entirely in the present moment. I think about what Derek said, about making sure I'm doing things for the right reasons. Was letting Jessica stay in the garage the right thing to do? I don't know. Maybe it was petty, maybe it was cruel, but it was also honest. I didn't pretend things were okay when they weren't, didn't offer forgiveness I didn't feel. I gave her exactly what she deserved. The bare minimum, no more. Some people might say I should have been the bigger person, should have let her sleep in a real bed, treated her with more kindness, helped her get back on her feet, but those people didn't live through what I lived through, didn't feel what I felt, didn't spend 3 years being systematically torn down by someone who was supposed to love them. I did what I could live with. That's enough. A week passes, then 2. Life returns to normal, or whatever normal is now. Work is good, consulting business is booming. I land a major contract with a national company that will keep me busy for months. I hire a contractor to finish some work on the house. New windows in the garage, actually. The irony isn't lost on me. Derek comes over for dinner one Saturday. We grill steaks and drink beer and talk about everything except Jessica. You seem lighter, he observes. More relaxed. I feel lighter, like I closed a chapter I didn't know was still open. Any regrets? About the garage? No. About the marriage? Yeah, I regret wasting 3 years on someone who never valued what I brought to the table, but I don't regret how I handled her return. I set a boundary and held it. That feels right. Good. You know what else feels right? What? This. He gestures around. At the house, the yard, the grill, the life I've built. This whole setup. You did it, man. You actually did it. Built something real out of nothing. Feels that way. Jessica was wrong about everything, especially about you lacking ambition. You had more ambition than she could recognize because you weren't flashy about it. You just put your head down and worked. That's the only way I know how to do things. It's a good way, the right way. We eat our steaks and watch the sun set over the backyard I'd landscape myself. Max lies at my feet, content. This is success, I think. Not the house or the income or the career achievements, though those matter, but this feeling of peace, of knowing I built something with my own hands, my own effort, my own determination. Jessica couldn't see it because she was looking for the wrong things. She wanted the finish line without the race, the trophy without the competition, the success without the struggle, but success doesn't work that way. It's not something you find. It's something you build, brick by brick, day by day, choice by choice. And sometimes the most important choice is deciding who you won't let tear down what you're building. A month after Jessica's visit, I get a text from an unknown number. "Hi, Michael. This is Jessica. I got a new phone. I just wanted to say thank you again for giving me a place to stay, even if it was the garage. You could have turned me away completely. The 3 days gave me time to accept what I needed to do. I'm living with my parents now. Got a job at a local retail store. It's not glamorous, but it's honest work. I'm learning what you tried to teach me. That dignity comes from earning your place, not having it handed to you. I hope you're well. Jay." I read it twice, then delete it without responding. Some chapters don't need epilogues. 6 months later, I'm sitting on my deck with coffee and the newspaper. Yes, I still get the actual newspaper, when my phone rings. Unknown number. I almost don't answer, but curiosity wins. "Hello." "Hi, is this Michael Torres?" "Speaking." "My name is Sarah Chen. I'm a reporter with the Tribune. I'm writing a feature on successful local entrepreneurs, and your name came up. Would you be willing to do an interview?" "An interview? About what?" "Your consulting business. I've been talking to some of your clients, and they have nothing but praise. One called you the most ethical consultant in the industry. I'd love to hear your story." My story. The years of being told I'd never succeed. The divorce that almost broke me. The slow, steady climb from rock bottom to something resembling success. "Sure," I hear myself say. "I can do an interview." We schedule it for the following week. After we hang up, I sit on my deck and think about how far I've come. From an assistant manager making $42,000 a year to someone successful enough to warrant a newspaper profile. Jessica would be furious. Or maybe she'd be proud. Or maybe, and this feels most likely, she wouldn't care at all, just like I don't care about her anymore. Max comes out and lies down next to my chair, his tail thumping against the wood. "We did good, buddy," I tell him. "We did real good." He woofs in agreement. The interview happens on a Wednesday afternoon. Sarah is professional, thorough, asks good questions about my business philosophy and approach to clients. "What do you think sets you apart?" she asks. "Honesty," I say. I don't upsell. Don't make promises I can't keep. I tell clients what they need to hear, not what they want to hear. Some people see that as weakness. I see it as integrity. Where do you think that approach comes from? I think about Jessica, about being told for 3 years that I wasn't enough, that integrity was less valuable than ambition, that being good was less important than being successful. From learning that success without integrity is just a house of cards, I say. It looks impressive, but it collapses at the first strong wind. I'd rather build something solid that lasts. She makes notes. That's a good philosophy. It's the only philosophy I have. The article comes out 2 weeks later. They use a photo of me in front of my house. They wanted to shoot it in my office, but I suggested the house instead. Wanted to show what's possible when you build slowly and steadily. The headline reads, "Local consultant builds success through patience and integrity." Derek texts me a screenshot with 3 fire emojis and the message, "Told you so." My mother calls, crying happy tears. "Your father and I are so proud of you, mijo." "Thanks, Ma." "We always knew you'd be successful. Even when things were hard, we knew." She's rewriting history a bit. My parents were worried during the divorce, worried I'd never recover, but I let her have it. Friends reach out. Former colleagues congratulate me. The business phone rings off the hook with new inquiries. Success breeds more success. Funny how that works. A year after Jessica showed up at my door, I'm closing a deal with a Fortune 500 company that will triple my annual revenue. The contract is spread out on my dining table, the new one I bought, much nicer than anything Jessica and I owned together. I sign it, scan it, email it back to the client's legal team. Done. I pour myself a bourbon, the good stuff, not the cheap whiskey I used to drink, and sit on my deck. It's late summer now, warm and pleasant, fireflies starting to emerge as dusk falls. Max is getting older, slower. He lies at my feet, content to just be present. My phone buzzes. Unknown number. I almost ignore it, but something makes me answer. Hello? Michael? The voice is familiar, but changed somehow. It's Jessica. I haven't heard from her since that text a year ago, the one I deleted without responding. Jessica, hi. Hi. I know I'm probably the last person you want to hear from, but I wanted to call, to thank you properly. For what? For the garage. I know that sounds insane, but I mean it. Those 3 days, they were hell. I was cold and miserable and faced with exactly what I'd become. And it broke something in me, something that needed to break. Okay. I'm in therapy now, have been for 8 months, working through a lot of stuff, my materialistic values, my treatment of you, my inability to see value in anything that wasn't flashy and immediate. It's hard work, but it's necessary. That's good. I'm glad you're getting help. I'm also back in school, community college, getting a business degree, actually. Turns out I do care about education, just needed the right motivation. Good for you, seriously. And I met someone. Nothing serious yet, but he's like you were. Solid. Kind. Building something real instead of just showing off. I think I finally get what I couldn't see before, that the flashy stuff is usually hollow and the real stuff doesn't need to be flashy. I'm happy for you, I say, and I mean it. I saw the article about you in the Tribune. You've done so well, Michael. You became exactly who you were always capable of being. I became who I needed to be. There's a difference. Maybe. Either way, I'm proud of you, and I'm sorry for all of it. I was a terrible wife and a worse person. You deserved so much better. I found better, built better. Good. You should have. And thank you for those 3 days in the garage, for not making it easy, for giving me exactly what I deserved. I learned more in those 3 days than in the 3 years we were married. Glad I could help, I say, only half sarcastic. I should let you go. I just wanted you to know that I'm working on being better, that I finally understand what you were trying to build, and that I'm sorry I wasn't capable of seeing it or appreciating it when it mattered. Apology accepted. Good luck with everything, Jessica. You too, Michael, really. She hangs up. I sit there with my bourbon, watching the fireflies, thinking about forgiveness and growth, and how sometimes the cruelest kindness is refusing to enable someone's worst behavior. Did I do the right thing, letting her sleep in the garage? I still don't know, but I know it led her to where she needed to be, just like the divorce led me to where I needed to be. Sometimes the path to growth is uncomfortable. Sometimes people need to sit in the cold next to trash bins to understand their own value, or lack thereof. I finish my bourbon and call Max inside. Time for bed. Tomorrow I have a meeting with another potential client. The work continues. Life continues. Success continues to build, brick by brick, day by day. And somewhere in Ohio, my ex-wife is learning the same lessons I learned years ago. That success is earned, not given. That integrity matters more than appearance. That being solid is better than being flashy. She learned it the hard way, in a garage, next to trash bins. But she learned it, and maybe that's all any of us can hope for. To learn from our mistakes, grow from our failures, and become better than we were, even if it takes sleeping next to the garbage to figure it out. The end. Success isn't revenge. Boundaries are. And sometimes, the greatest gift you can give someone who hurt you is the space to realize what they lost.